Businessman Noel Card to court. Police say he facilitated the landing of a drug plane. But his attorneys say that armed Mexican narcos took control of his farm to land that drug plane. 7 News was at the Orange Walk Courthouse and we'll have the full story. And Dr. Marvin Manzanero, a wild rumor said he resigned as DHS. He didn't. But was he close to doing so because of a controversial new statutory instrument regulation? We'll tell you. Plus, BTIA's boss explains why they want the red tape cut out of tourist arrivals before the airport opens next week, Thursday. We've got details of these and other stories in our newscast for tonight, Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. Good evening. With your news, I'm Indira Craig.
Ready and comfort.
Hard. So you need a mobile plan that can keep up. Digi is now offering unlimited talk and text and double the data on all plans and up to 60 gigs for the Plus plans. All backed up by the fastest and largest mobile network. More work, more fun, more you. Visit your nearest Digi store today.
A look at the PUP DNA. Julius Espat, representative for Cayo South, was sold the Chief Justice residence by a PUP government for a mere pittance and turned around and flipped it for over $1 million. Cousin Luke Espat got a sweetheart pass from the then PUP government when they sold him the country's most valuable asset in the Port of Belize, and he allowed Ashcroft to take it over. Now cousin Mike Espat, representative for Toledo East, brought the VOA compound in PG with a DFC loan, which was later written off. He sold it for millions. Corruption is in the PUP DNA. This is the same old PUP.
Grandpa, I want crystal water, please. Can I please get 1 crystal water, please?
Okay, then.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It pleases your heart, knowing she will grow up drinking the brand you have always trusted. It gives you peace of mind. Crystal water. Taste you can trust.
Now is the time to sign up for the best postpaid plans in the country because Digi has doubled the data in all their plans. Now you can get even more done, connect even more, stream even more, create even more, and share even more. All on the fastest mobile network that gives you the most coverage nationwide. Now is the time to go postpaid with plans starting as low as $49 monthly. Shared plans are also available, all with unlimited talk and text. So don't wait. Hurry over to your nearest Digi store to sign up today. Enjoy double the data in all postpaid plans only with Digi.
Meals
are better at home with Coca-Cola. Collect 2 golden caps of Coca-Cola, Fanta, or Sprite 1.5 liter with the word WIN and 1 golden cap with the word microwave or 1 with the word Oster. And you can win a microwave oven or Oster pots and pans. You'll also receive a free kitchen utensil with all 1.5 liter twin pack purchases. You can collect all 4 utensils. Visit www.coca-cola.com.
The Belize Mental Health Association presents a Philaton event to commemorate World Mental Health Day on Saturday, October 10th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. This community outreach is soliciting funds, clothing, and volunteers for the Welcome Resource Center. Your contribution will help us to meaningfully support the homeless and mentally ill. Our telethon will feature guest speakers and live entertainment and will present information on homelessness and the annual high school speech competition on mental health issues. It will be broadcasted nationally and streamed live on the Welcome Resource Center Facebook page. Submit your pledges in advance or on Saturday, October 10th. Let us all commit to promoting mental health for all. Greater investment, greater access.
I'm Chef Sean Quillen, and I got a nice surprise for you today.
Take your cooking skills to a whole new level with Glazed Out, TNC's first ever cooking show with culinary expert Chef Sean Quillen. Tune in every week for exciting Belizean cuisine and some of Belize's biggest names in culinary art and culture, and watch as they create unique and delicious meals that will surely excite your taste buds. Glazed Out in the kitchen with Chef Sean.
Belizean food, how another level. Premiering only on TNC 10.
A drug plane landed in Belize early on Independence Day, and while the illicit cargo is still unaccounted for, police arrested 2 men near the scene and are hoping to pin them with charges relating to the landing. The first to go to court today was well-known Orange Walk auctioneer Noel Codd. He owns the farm where the drug plane landed, and police found him in the area not long after. The Commissioner of Police said they intended to charge him for facilitating the landing of a plane on an unregistered aerodrome. But today the charge was very different when we went to the Orange Walk courthouse. Here's that story.
This afternoon at 2:30, businessman Noel Codd was escorted out of the Orange Walk police station. He was in cuffs but relaxed and well put together. His attorney patted him on the shoulder. He didn't look at all like a man who had been in custody since early morning on the 21st, as he shot the press a confident thumbs up. He went into court charged for possession of a single round of prohibited ammunition.
Then they charged Noel Codd, all right? The police have been doing their investigations, and suddenly they found 1 round, they claim, of ammunition, the caliber of which falls under the Firearms Act as a prohibited ammunition. That is the charge 2.5 days later. It's just a charge to hold on to him, to sweat him. That's what they're doing.
They allegedly found the prohibited round on Codd's 262-acre farm in the London area of the Orange Walk district, where this drug plane landed. Police say they found Codd and a Mennonite associate in the area after 2 in the morning. The cops claimed that they colluded to facilitate the drug plane landing. Now, Bradley says his client is actually the victim, as attested to in the statements from his 4 farm workers, which paint a very different picture.
They have written statements that there were persons dressed in military camouflage with large guns who put all of them under manners and waited until something happened with the plane down the road. They were allowed to eat and drink and shut them out and don't watch anything. And those people had those type of weapons. So how can you charge Noel Codd for that, for people coming into his yard against his wishes?
Let's say it's a cartel. It seems a fantastical story. If it's a cartel.
Well, if it's fantastical, why have they been released? They obviously believe them, otherwise charge them too.
One man who may or may not be charged is bulldozer operator Isaac Petka. He was detained along with Codd and has since implicated Codd in what his attorney says is an ill-gotten statement.
My client has informed me that when I was searching all around and I was being informed that he's here and he's there and he's all around the station, he had already been whisked off to Corozal to prevent him from being able to have access to his attorney. He was furthermore taken to Corozal under the promise that if he gives a statement to the police containing certain information, that he would be released, right, free of charges, and number two, that his bulldozer, which represents his life savings, would be returned to him and it would not be confiscated as the police had threatened him.
Did he accept?
Yes. Unfortunately, in the absence of legal representation, in the absence of his attorney, he caved in to pressure from the police and he gave them the so-called statement that they were looking for.
As we appeared at the door and he saw his lawyer, he repudiated what he had signed.
Absolutely.
But he's the maker of the statement, and she says, Your Honor, the only reason I signed that is they promised me I will not be charged and they'll return my heavy equipment to me. Even me, when no better would have signed.
And while the statement will be challenged, police will also challenge based on the circumstances of the arrest. Both your clients, according to the Commissioner of Police, who you said is to be believed, were caught at early hours of the morning near the property where the plane landed. And it is highly suspicious for two persons to be out.
No. Let's kill that right now. Mr. Card lives there. That is his house. There were a lot of commotion, I think gunshots and all kind of thing happening. He is leaving his house to come and tell the police.
He could call the police.
Huh?
You can call the police.
You know the service, right? You know that you could call. Have you tried to call 911? Always busy, nobody answer. But listen,
he's a whole police.
Why would he want to stay in a dangerous situation like that? Yes? Look, listen, you want to tell me we convict somebody because they left a house at night? That's what you're suggesting to me?
I'm saying it's suspicious.
Huh? Well, everything is suspicious. Why carry a man to Corozal? Isn't that suspicious? Why did you do that, Corozal? Call that suspicious too? Highly suspicious. You think then do this to somebody else, you know that person is a dead person? You know you trick somebody if you give statement against somebody else. He's marked for death. He's a dead man walking. Be careful what they're doing, man. Anything have consequences.
As you saw, Bradley's arguments for the court of public opinion were passionate, and just so in court, where he convinced Magistrate Merlene Moody to use the discretion granted her under the law and grant Cod bail. He was released on $5,000 bail and will reappear on October 27th. This afternoon, a story traveling at the speed of social media morphed from rumor to real news within minutes. It was reported by other media as confirmed that the Director of Health Services, Dr. Marvin Manzanero, had resigned in a huff. And the huff was supposedly over a new statutory instrument, number 134 of 2020, which took effect yesterday. It compels the Director of Health Services to release the names of all COVID-19 positive patients to the Minister of National Security, which is plainly a violation of patient confidentiality. It seemed plausible to some newsrooms, and multiple media houses put the story out, forcing the government to counter with a press release which quotes that the National Oversight Committee hereby clarifies that Dr. Marvin Manzanero has not tendered his resignation. The information currently being circulated by various news outlets is false. The NOC did have a discussion with Dr. Manzanero regarding the most recent statutory instrument. It was agreed to recommend to Cabinet an alternative way of dealing with the issue of COVID-19 positive persons who break quarantine and the law. End quote. As we understand it, the reason for the provision in the statutory instrument is because police want to ensure that none of the positive patients break their mandatory quarantine or self-isolation and spread the virus through irresponsible behavior. So we turn now to the changes of that SI 134 and what it actually brings. It does three things. First, it allows restaurants to open up and accommodate 10 patrons to dine in by reservations only. Restaurant owners cannot have more than 10 customers and they must have a restaurant license. Secondly, it allows churches to open up, but they can't have more than 10 worshippers participating in the service. And finally, it obliges the Director of Health Services to release the names of all COVID-19 positive patients to the Minister of National Security. This morning we caught up with the Attorney General on the Belize Coast Guard compound and we asked him to explain the allowances for restaurants and churches.
As you know, churches are not allowed to operate, nor restaurants, whether indoor or outdoor. So we decided, the committee along with Cabinet decided that the time has come for us to do a soft opening of those two places. With churches, no more than 10 people in the congregation. Of course, you'll have the pastor and his or her assistants. Restaurants, it's no more than 10 people in the whole restaurant, no matter what the size. Now, if you have a huge restaurant, you still can only have 10 people. If you have a small restaurant that cannot hold 10 people, being 6 feet apart or not at the same table, then clearly you can't have 10. But if you have the space, you're allowed up to 10 with the proper social distancing and mask when you're not eating. Must have a restaurant license to operate, and it must be by reservations. We feel like we have reached a point where we can start to open up again and ask people to be responsible and cooperate with us.
We also asked him to explain the rationale behind the new obligation for the Director of Health Services, who now has to release the names of COVID-positive patients to the police.
The next amendment that seems to be getting some attention is that we find that as the cases increase, the Ministry of Health would, from time to time, put more people in detention or allow more people to self-isolate at home or self-quarantine. So when these people violate their self-isolation orders or their self-quarantine requirements, the police needs to be sprung into action almost immediately. So it's very, very critical that we have that information. So we've put in the law the need for the DHS to provide to the Minister of National Security all those people who have tested positive or all those people who are in self-isolation, in quarantine, so that we can know and have a ready list available for people that we have to look out for to make sure that they're not violating the orders given to them by the quarantine authority.
Is there any concerns, or has there been any concerns raised of doctor-patient confidentiality matters?
The Oversight Committee and the Cabinet have both said that that's in the best interest of dealing with the pandemic. I don't foresee an issue at all. We are in a pandemic. I personally see no shame in somebody having COVID-19. I don't see personally what's the issue. There will be no breach of confidentiality that is not necessary. As it is, if we find out that Daniel Ortiz is COVID-19 and we have to do contact tracing from you, we have to then eventually inform other people that we're investigating them because you're positive. So there is no confidentiality in the strictest sense now as we speak. And I think on a national issue, on a pandemic issue, it's not personal like some other diseases. This is a pandemic. And I would hope that if I were to be COVID-19, I would proudly say that I have it so that my friends and my family can know that I have it so that they can take care of themselves or get themselves checked. So I personally don't see an issue with it.
There seems to be a stipulation nonetheless that should the DHS not provide that list, then he would in effect be committing a crime or an offense.
Yes.
Can you explain that rationale?
We just want to make sure that it's not left to his discretion to provide it. He must provide it.
Later on in the news, we'll have a little bit more from our conversation with Parafit about UDP's readiness for the upcoming general elections. And we take a break now, but when we come back, roll back the red tape before tourists arrive next week. That's what the BTIA says. And did the Compo give the green light to some low-level contraband back in March? Well, you'll hear the tough questions we put to him. Don't go away.
Tiles, tiles, and more tiles. Benny's is having a massive tile sale. For the entire month of September, get great deals on every single tile at Benny's. Ceramic tile, porcelain tile, glass tile, stone tile, and HD tile. Also, come and see a wide selection of new arrivals featuring additional blue light specials starting at a low $1.59. It's Benny's massive tile sale. Benny's, quality and savings.
We have made unprecedented investments in developing the backbone infrastructure of our nation, which has positively impacted every community in this country, with new roads, sporting complexes, water and waste management systems, hospitals, schools, electricity, and internet connectivity. These investments have contributed greatly to the movement of people, goods, and the services, and has bolstered our economic growth while setting the stage for a new era of Belizean prosperity in the upcoming decade.
We will vote again for the UDP.
Bellykin got your back. What you mean? Brother, when you buy a 6-pack of Bellykin beer, Bellykin Stout or Bellykin Light, you could enter for winning a Bellykin's weekly drawings. What are the prizes? Over 10,000 in a weekly prizes, including Bellykin beer, Bellykin bar tabs, and cash. With your purchase on a 6-pack, scan the QR code or visit bellykin.com/win to enter your unique 6-pack ID. But make sure you keep your 6-pack cartons for proof of purchase.
Boy, Bellykin really got the back with the purchase at every 6-pack.
Bellykin, the beer of Belize.
To our Bellykin Got Your Back winners to date. Continue purchasing your 6-packs and entering your codes for a chance to win over $10,000 in weekly prizes, because Bellykin got your back.
Bellykin, the beer of Belize.
Ready and comfort.
You play hard, so you need a mobile plan that can keep up. Digi is now offering unlimited talk and text, and double the data on all plans, and up to 60 gigs for the Plus plans. All backed up by the fastest and largest mobile network. More work, more fun, more you. Visit your nearest Digi store today.
Price Premier Products Limited has been proudly serving Belize for many years. We aim to serve you better and are pleased to announce our new office with convenient parking at number 1728 Chetamal Street, Belize City. Here, you will find our Price Smart outlet opening on weekdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Be impressed with the variety of quality branded products such as Pampers, Always, Tide and Downy, Del Monte, DAC, Vigo and Alessi, Duracell, Crystal Farm Cheese, Linda Powdered Milk, Great Lakes Pork Tails, Ground Coffee, Authentic Gillette for men and women. We distribute many of the world's top and finest brands to supermarkets and stores nationwide. For authentic brands and quality products, visit us today. Price Premier Products Limited, importer and distributor of fine quality products.
semanas vamos a las urnas y mantengo la confianza que este pueblo no será golpeado otra vez. Este pueblo tiene la necesidad de darle la confianza al equipo que sí tiene un plan de recuperación y que cumplirá. Como pueblo valiente y fuerte y con una capacidad de recuperación increíble, el pueblo beliceño una vez más saldrá adelante. De esto estoy seguro.
Last night we told you about the letter that the Belize Tourism Industry Association sent to Prime Minister Dean Barrow on Independence Day. In it, they are asking him, the National Oversight Committee and the government to reconsider all the restrictions that international tourists will face next week, Thursday, when the Philip Goldson International Airport is reopened. For months, we've been telling you about the strict COVID protocols that all visitors will have to observe. But the BTIA is publicly asking whether it is time to reconsider all that red tape. The reason that the virus is already here and that the tourists are just as likely to catch it from Belizeans as they are likely to bring it into the country. Secondly, they say that our tourism industry is competing for tourists with other regional tourism powerhouses, and all that red tape will make the Belize package less attractive. This evening, we spoke via teleconference with two senior personalities from the BTIA about their concerns for the tourist experience starting next week, Thursday. Here's how they put it.
When these protocols and strategies and standards were developed, they were developed in June, July, when the COVID-19 situation in Belize were very well under control. And at the time, that is what led to what we thought would be the best approach in terms of recovering the tourism industry and creating economic activity for all tourism stakeholders. So that's the key thing that people need to understand. We have seen what has happened in Belize since August, and we have seen that the SIs keep coming up almost every other week with new updates, new things being implemented. But I think that they're not being looked at the way they should. I think that their views are a little bit outdated. I think we really have to look at what are we trying to achieve with those standards and those protocols. Who are we protecting? I mean, if a tourist that doesn't have COVID-19 comes into the country, he's going to be exposed to COVID-19 in Belize, and he could put himself at risk just by coming to Belize. So we're saying that some of the arrival protocols need to be reviewed with an objective mind.
The airlift initially coming into Belize is going to be very small, only maybe 2 flights a day. So let's say there's going to be 100 tourists, bona fide tourists that come into the country every day. So at any given time, you will have 400 tourists, at least for October and November. At any given time, 400 tourists in the country. Most of those tourists would have arrived with a negative PCR test or be tested at the airport. Time you've got 400,000 Belizeans, most part not been tested. So 400,000 versus 400. So why are we focusing all these resources on 400 people who are the least risky people to have in your country?
We have to recognize what is the Belize experience. We have to recognize that we are competing regionally and globally to attract tourists into Belize. We are hanging on by a thread, a very, very thin thread that we cannot be sustained. The process of coming into Belize as a tourist, why are we making it so complicated? I think it is easy. I think the recommendation is very easy. We're just trying to say, listen, if the person tests negative or brings a negative test, there should be allowed freedom of travel. and then they should be able to abide by all the laws that our local population is abiding for. You know, why do you want the hotels or the resorts to serve as a prison? Because that's basically what it is. If the moment they tell you cannot take a walk down the beach in Hopkins, in Placencia, in Kikakari, San Pedro, you mean you're basically telling me you're a prisoner, you can only go on a tour and that's it. You come back and then you stay here. And they're looking at what we're implementing. And let me tell you, what we're implementing right now is not going to motivate anyone to choose Belize as a tourist destination.
Among other suggestions, the BTIA is recommending that the arrival process at the PGIA should be simplified. If a visitor arrives with a negative test, they are processed through immigration or given a rapid test upon arrival, with results given on the spot or sent to the visitor or hotel. International visitors who are confirmed to be COVID-free should be allowed full freedom of movement around the country, but they should be required to abide by the same COVID-19 health and safety protocols that Belizeans are mandated to follow. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams has been bold in his declarations about the dangers to public health posed by contraband smuggling. Indeed, the laws during the state of emergency criminalized smuggling to a much greater degree, and the commissioner's zeal to stop contraband was almost over the top, but certainly proportional to the risks posed. And events have proven just what those risks are, with COVID infections fanning across the Orange Walk district, where smuggling is the most widespread. But before the neighboring community of Otonpi Blanco in Mexico was overrun with COVID cases, and before any national lockdown in Belize, the Commissioner of Police didn't take such an unyielding hard line on contraband smuggling. A text message he sent into a law enforcement chat group in March shows him taking a much more blasé, live and let live approach. We put that to him yesterday.
But on Sunday, March 22nd, Orange Walk police intercepted a vehicle with 8 sacks of Bola Roja flour, and the driver was detained. You responded, "We need to ease off this for a while, OC," you're saying to the OC of Orange Walk, in a time where people are trying to stock up on their supply due to imminent coming of COVID-19, our actions may seem inconsiderate. So at this time, you were saying...
When was that, Jules?
March 22nd, 2020.
That was before the state of emergency, any at all?
I think it may have been...
The state of emergency was the 24th.
So, but I'm saying that you were, at that point, saying, man, left the people in with them Bola Roja.
But I don't understand, Mr. Vasquez, how you have police blag information. That's a breach of national security. It doesn't matter.
Not a police blag.
It doesn't matter.
But I'm saying, the point is a point. You said, make the thing slide.
There was always a policy, Jules, where if you catch people with how the term they would use, personal items that they're going to use for their personal self, that you don't really bother them. If a matter of fact, that was what led customs to establish a informal base in Botes, right? Yes, when it comes to the commercial quantity, that's a different story. But you catch a man with a 10 pound of flour or 2 pound of beans where they try to provide for his family, then that was not a big deal then. But with the advent of COVID, we have to go after everything.
Turning now from police to the politics, the Prime Minister has hinted that he will call general elections sometime in early November, which puts the date somewhere in the vicinity of about 6 weeks from now. Now, we've been showing you the sales pitch from opposition PUP and the Belize Progressive Party about why voters should choose them over the ruling United Democratic Party. But the UDP has not yet unveiled any sort of major leadership or governance plans if they were to win a 4th term in office. So, while we had the opportunity today, we asked the UDP chairman to discuss a little about his party's campaign strategy for these elections. Here's what he had to say about what their approach has been behind the scenes.
We know that all we can do is campaign, work hard, demonstrate to the people why we are clearly a better option than the PUP, and we do our best to convince the people of that. And we know that elections will be sometime in November. The Prime Minister has indicated that. So we have to be prepared for that. We put in all that we need to put in. We are confident that the people can see the clear difference between the UDP and the PUP, and that people, we are confident, will give back the UDP the job to manage the economy properly as we have been doing. But elections are for the people. So on that day, the people will decide who they want to govern them for the next 5 years from a central government standpoint.
Sir, what has the campaign for the area reps and standard bearers of the UDP looked like, given that we've been living in this pandemic for a number of months and you can't necessarily go house to house and visit people like you would normally?
Well, it's been different. We've had to find creative ways to reach people, and people understand completely that we're living in a different time, and people understand completely that we have to do it in a different style and fashion. So the reception has nonetheless been excellent. People understand that we can't be out there as usual. Our people do love to have those rallies, Pong Yard Bridge, front of the headquarters. That's what we all love. But our safety is more important than anything else.
Is there any consideration from yourself that maybe voters might be lulling your party into a false sense of security and that they surprise you on election day?
Well, you never know what will happen on election day. If I could tell you what would happen on election day, I would go and buy all the numbers for a particular, for the Bolido. You can't tell on election day. That's for the people to decide. They will decide, and we all have to live with what the people decide.
Reports suggest that a House meeting could be happening this Friday, and there are rumors without confirmation that the PM could announce an election date at that meeting. Again, not confirmed, but we'll wait and see. The latest COVID test results released last night show 34 new cases in a pool of 193 tests. That's a positive rate of 18%, twice that of the 4 days previous. The breakdown of new cases is as follows: 9 in the Carrizal district, 7 in town, 1 in Consejo, and 1 in San Andres. There are 15 new cases in Orange Walk, 3 in the town, 3 in Trinidad, 1 in San Pablo, 1 in San Jose, 1 in Nuevo San Juan, 1 in Champagne Ridge, 1 in Guinea Grass, 1 in San Luis, and 1 in San Lazaro. 1 from San Roman in Corozal, but identified in Orange Walk, and 2 from Hickety Creek in Toledo, but also identified in Orange Walk. There are 7 new cases in the Belize district, 2 in Belize City, 3 in San Pedro, and 1 in Kikoker, and, well, 1 from Unitedville identified at the KHMH. In Cayo, there is 1 new case in San Jose Socots in Stan Creek, 1 new case in Independence, and 1 in Toledo, 1 case from Cayo. And tonight, the death count is up to 22, which is a male in his 30s from the Cayo district who had been at the ICU of the KHMH for over 2 weeks. With 37 recoveries, there are now 644 active cases. We'll take a break now. When we come back, one woman fights for her neighborhood street. She's begging City Hall not to let a big bank gobble it up. And the drug plane landed in Santa Martha, Belize on September 21st. But what about a drug plane crash landing in Santa Martha, Guatemala on September 22nd? We'll show you what we found. Don't go away.
ready and comfort.
You work hard, you play hard, so you need a mobile plan that can keep up. Digi is now offering unlimited talk and text and double the data on all plans and up to 60 gigs for the Plus plans, all backed up by the fastest and largest mobile network. More work, more fun, more you. Visit your nearest Digi store today.
The old style of closed government must give way to a government that works for the people, and where equity is favored and special interest of the connected few is rejected. The open government that I envision means that secret deals and large sell-offs can no longer be tolerated.
On Independence Day, Patrick Farber spoke about special interests, the connected few and secret deals. Was he talking about Anwar Barrow, his prime minister's son? Or Barrow's family, which has made millions? Was he talking about the Brad's contract? Or the BTL secret deals? Was he talking about John Saldivar and his trenches? Was he talking about the millionaire Minister of Works? The thing is, Patrick Farber has been Minister of Education for 12 years. He has always been part of the corrupt UDP government. This is the same UDP, the same faces, the same greed, arrogance, corruption, and incompetence. Nothing has changed. Reject them all. It is time for the UDP to go.
Alcohol, tabaco, comida y objetos. Aparte de romper la ley, los contrabandistas están poniendo ahora en riesgo la salud de los beliceños. Ellos arriesgan traer coronavirus a Belice por medio de sus contrabandos. Para mantener el COVID-19 fuera de Belice, todos los que entren al país son examinados y encuarentenados. Sin embargo, los contrabandistas no utilizan los puntos de entrada legal y se saltan todas las medidas de seguridad. Estos mismos traficantes se están moviendo entre la población. Ellos podrían tener el virus. Al entrar ilícitamente al país, esto puede provocar un brote de COVID-19. Comprar o traficar contrabando te pone a ti, a tu familia y a todo tu país en riesgo. Para números de Smart, llama al 0800-586-7377, 0800-267-3377 y para Digi 0800-728-3293 para reportar cualquier actividad de contrabando. Este mensaje es presentado por el Departamento de Policía de Belice y el Banco de Belice.
Border jumping is illegal and puts our entire nation at risk. Our neighbors, Guatemala and Mexico, are experiencing rapidly increasing numbers of COVID-19 cases, and there are more deaths every day. Persons entering Belize illegally from these hotspot countries are not being tested for COVID-19. That's why it is important to report anyone entering Belize illegally by calling our hotlines. Smart users call 0800-JUMPERS or 0800-BORDERS. For Digi, call 0800-SAVE-BZE. Condoning or engaging in border jumping is putting yourself, your family, and the entire country at risk. Remember, anyone caught will be fined up to $5,000 and/or imprisoned for 2 years. Stop border jumping now. This message is brought to you by the Belize Police Department and the Belize Bank.
The official hurricane season for the Atlantic Basin, the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico is from June 1st to November 30th. If you are ordered not to evacuate, there are things you can do to get through the storm in the safest possible manner. Monitor the radio or TV for weather conditions. Stay indoors until the authorities declare the storm over. Even if the weather appears to have calmed, do not go outside. The calm eye of the storm can pass quickly, leaving you outside when strong winds resume. Stay away from all windows and exterior doors. Turn off power when there is standing water or fallen power lines. Prepare to evacuate to a shelter or to a neighbor's home if your home is damaged, or if you're instructed to do so by emergency personnel. Many hurricane-related injuries are cuts caused by flying glass and debris. Other injuries include bone fractures and puncture wounds from exposed nails, metal, or glass. Adzelot Audio and Video Production Company wants you and your family to be safe this hurricane season. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Brought to you by Adzelot Audio and Video Production Company and this station.
Saltar la frontera es ilegal.
There are plenty of COVID awareness public service announcements, and by and large, these are mostly aired free of charge by the media. But now, courtesy of the UK government, will have a budget for a COVID awareness media campaign. Yesterday in Belmopan, the British High Commissioner Claire Evans and the Chief Executive Officer of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Luann Byrne, signed an $80,490 grant agreement in support of Belize's national media campaign on SARS-CoV-2. A release says the grant will be used to support the dissemination of accurate and up-to-date information through social media, printed media, and infomercial campaigns. The ads will focus on health and safety efforts and, quote, to help ensure that myths and rumors which abound are minimized. The release adds, quote, that this campaign will help reduce stress and anxiety within the society. In other diplomatic news, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps in Belize, Mexican Ambassador Carlos Quesnel, is moving on after more than 5 years in Belize. He met yesterday with Belize's Foreign Minister Wilfred Elrington, where the both sides exchanged views on pertinent issues crucial to the strengthening of bilateral cooperation between the two countries. Elrington also presented the ambassador with a key of friendship in honor of his professional and personal accomplishments. Over the holiday weekend, a 14-month-old baby from Corozal district died after he was knocked down by a driver. Police reports say that baby Jonah Enns, a resident of Little Belize, was in an open lot in the village when 17-year-old Gabino Na arrived in a Ford van. Na, a resident of Shonosh village, conducted the business that he was supposed to with the lot owner. It appears that he did not realize that the baby was playing in front of the van. When he attempted to move off, the van ran over the baby and killed him on the spot. Here's more from the head of the National Criminal Investigations Branch.
Sometime around 11:50 a.m., Corozal police were called to Camp 39 Little Belize, where they observed the apparent lifeless body of a child. And it was reported to them that one Gabino Na had arrived at a warehouse in Little Belize where he alighted the van and was having a conversation with the owner of the warehouse. And he later got back into the van and moved in a forward motion where he ran over 14-month-old Johan Enns, who apparently died on the spot. As a result, an investigation was carried out where Mr. Na was detained and later served with a notice of intended prosecution, whilst statements were recorded, and we are awaiting the post-mortem results before that information is then forwarded to the DPP in order for her to decide.
Sir, I know this seems like an accident in the purest form, because, you know, sometimes you're reversing, you can't see.
No, but he was moving forward.
He was moving forward, okay.
Yes.
So was there any possibility that alcohol was involved?
Not at this point. We do not have that information. I believe the procedure was followed where he samples were taken from him in that regard.
As you heard, the driver of the vehicle has been served with a notice of intended prosecution. We've told you all about the drug plane that landed in Belize on September 21st near Santa Marta Orange Walk early in the morning. Well, on September 22nd, a drug plane from South America flew right over Belize into Guatemala, where it crash-landed near a clandestine runway in another Santa Marta Salinas, in Alta Verapaz. The Guatemalan Army reports the finding of aircraft remains, 2 corpses, drug packets, and weapons. Tonight, Karen Golanch, a resident in the area just off Coney Drive in Belize City, is complaining that Heritage Bank has made a proposal to Belize City Council to turn Golanch Crescent into a one-way street. This is a public access road which circles near the Belize Family Life Association headquarters and ends near to the bank's new building. We understand that the street had been blocked off for years, and according to Golanch, it was a major inconvenience for her and her husband, who suffers a disability. But we understand that the bank has proposed to the City Council that the portion of the street in front of their building be restricted so that vehicles can't pass there. Golanch says that she cannot support this proposal because it sorts of blocks her in Today, she called us to her home to complain that, in her opinion, the City Council should not entertain this proposal. Here's her impassioned plea to the Council to dismiss this proposal.
The City Council is planning to do a restriction on the street by putting some boulders, some cement boulders right at this point here to restrict the flow of traffic from people living in this area. The residents in this area won't be able to pass in front of the bank any at all, okay? And there is also, they want to turn this whole street into a one-way. And that will be even more restriction for the residents in this area. And it will affect me more than all the other residents around here, okay? Because as I mentioned before, I have my husband who have a disability, and if ambulance or anything need to come around here, we won't be able, it won't be able to come through. So that's one of our main concern. And also, it will create a devaluation of my property. And another thing, if there is a fire in this area, say there is a fire there at BFLA or at the call center there or at the Habit building, my only outlet will be this way in front of the bank. And if there is a fire here at the library or at the bank, my next way out will be through that side by the BFLA side. So that's the reason why with this proposal, it's not making much sense to me.
This evening, we spoke via telephone with Albert Vaughan, the City Councillor with responsibility for works, and he insisted that this is just a proposal in its very early stages. And in his opinion, Gallant is being deliberately disingenuous to suggest that it is a done deal. He told us that he and other persons from the City Council have a meeting scheduled later this week with the bank to discuss this proposal. He also expressed frustration that Gallant continues to complain publicly about this issue because, according to him, he and other technical member of the City Council's staff met with her and her husband this morning to listen carefully to their concerns. He said that part of the upcoming meeting with the bank will focus on the Gallant family's resistance to the bank's proposal. And that ends it for our newscast for tonight. Thanks for watching with your news. I'm Indira Craig. Remember that you can see a streaming video of this newscast at 7newsbelize.com, brought to you by Digi for the best postpaid plans in the country. Remember now to wash your hands, to wear a mask at all times in public, and to keep your social distance. Join me back here tomorrow at 6, and until then, have a great night.